Hello, everybody. I am Sarah Elise, and I'm an astrologer in Toronto, Canada, and this is my newsletter being sent out on January 24th for the Aquarius New Moon. Now, I'm sitting here trying to think what I'm going to say, and I have so many things I want to say, and I'm worried about this being a very long newsletter again. But there are so many important things about Aquarius, and there are so many different dimensions that I'd like to communicate about. I think my intentions through this newsletter are twofold, essentially. One, I want to talk about Aquarius in terms of a group archetype, a group construct, and the new age that we're entering into, and how we need to learn how to do groups differently and what that calling is for us right now. And number two, I want to talk about Aquarius from the perspective of personal transformation and healing, which is always my primary lens into life. As an astrologer, what I do is transformational evolutionary astrology. So I enable people's healing and transformation. That's how I work with my clients. And that's always my interest with these newsletters, is how to prompt you to use this archetype, to use this cycle, to use this month to facilitate your own growth. Because I believe that when we work with the archetypal cycles of nature, that we can speed up our own evolution. And what we're all called for right now at this time in history is to individuate and spiritualize. That is the call. And this is the sign, man. We're entering into the age of Aquarius, right? This is the sign that really does own the new age and own the changes that we're going through. Aquarius is an archetype of a kind of a vision for the future. It's like a real trailblazer archetype. Aquarians tend to stand outside, and they tend to stand inside their individual self with such acuity and such strength and such grace, that while they don't fit in, they don't seem to mind either. They sort of hold their own integrity, hold their own individuation really strongly. Because as we go into the age of Aquarius, what's being asked of each one of us is to let go of the herd state mentality of I'm part of the group, but the way I am in the group is dictated by the group, toward a more enlightened collective vision wherein I am a unique individual. And because of my uniqueness, I connect to the collective and contribute my beauty and my strength and my courage and my intuition and what I intrinsically am to the collective good. So it's only through a point of pure individuation that we can contribute to good, and that we can contribute what we are to the group that we're all a part of. Because one of the principles of the New Age is to understand that we're all one, that we're all here, we're all a human family. Not only a human family, but we're a cosmic family. This earth, we're one with this earth, we're one with these planets, we're one with this universe, we're one with the divine. We have access to all of these different parts of us. They are all us, and the archetypes are alive inside of us. But each one of us is our own unique ray, our own unique shape, our own unique constellation within this great cosmic dance, or this great cosmic sea. It's like we're all drops of water in the ocean, right? But in order to wake up and to play our part, which is the New Age calling, the calling of the New Age is for each one of us to wake up and play our part, we have to learn how to be ourself within the group context. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is the difference between a group that is harmful and a group that is liberating and that is evolving towards something positive. Because I think, at this time in history, when you look outside at what's going on, you see a lot of group think, a lot of fear around standing up and taking a stand, and also you see a lot of people on the planet like learning how to stand up and take a stand. Like we're all rebellion and revolution is nothing new on planet Earth, right? And Uranus is the planet of rebellion and revolution. Aquarius is the sign of rebellion and revolution. It's shaking up the status quo, shaking up the Saturn, shaking up the Capricorn, so that we can move into the future, right? And you have to individuate away from what you've known in order to do that. So that the calling is to, acknowledge what's broken and break it further, like just, you know, break it, blow it out of the water, like the French Revolution and all of the Maoist revolution. Now I'm not suggesting that these were positive revolutions, but they were revolutions, right? So in order to have a revolution that is positive, I think that we have to take responsibility for where we're sitting in ourselves, and again, where we're referencing power. Yeah. The problem with a lot of groups, when they expect you to kind of merge with them and become them, like you'll see, you know, like religious groups, which require you to take on their doctrine or take on their beliefs. Any kind of group that requires you to dress a certain way or be a certain way or act a certain way in order to fit in. This is the way that we're used to doing group on our planet. Yeah. This is the way we're used to doing community. We're used to doing community that is all about conformity. And you know, a lot of us have like a real trepidation against getting involved with groups, because there is this memory of being endangered because of the collective ethos. You know, how many thousands of years have you been unsafe if you were excommunicated outside of the normative structure of society, right? The zeitgeist of society. To stand apart and to stand out of it has been a dangerous thing for thousands of years. So to stand up at this time and take and really have a voice and really take a perspective and really be clear in who we are, and to be individuated and to be aligned and to be brave and courageous to stand out against injustice or stand out against practices that we don't believe in or whatever it is. It takes a lot of power to do that. It takes a lot of energy to say, I'm not just going to do it the way everyone else is doing it. But it's what's absolutely being called on, and this month in particular, it's being called on all of us to kind of stand into our individuated self and take a look at, you know, what is my place in this collective? Who am I in the collective? What do I contribute? What's my unique view? What's my unique ray in? Because it matters. The more I give myself away to worrying and fear and insecurity about what other people will think of me, and am I safe in the group? Is the group going to approve of me? If I say this or do this or be this or dress like this or believe this or act like this, if I show this part of me, am I going to be threatened? Similarly, if you're always on the lookout to analyze and judge where other people are, oh, he's not fitting in, he's not normal, or he doesn't fit in my group, or he's not a part of my tribe. And what this is the difference between tribal group and sort of enlightened community group, right? Tribal conditioned group versus community group and collective group. The tribal group is run by fear and by like a need to survive and feel safe. So we have to all be together, all be the same. And the collective community group is run by this principle that we're all together, we're all here for the benefit of all of us. So there's a collective good that we're all focused on, but we all have that as our goal: the survival of the species, the thriving future of our planet. This is our collective dream that we're dreaming, that we're all part of. But within that, in order to fulfill that goal, we all have to rise up into our higher self, into our individuated self, into our heart self, into our powerful self, and then contribute to that greater goal, which is a collective vision, which will benefit all of us. See, so the difference, the tribal is very dark and it's very controlling. It's all about conformity and control. And like the elevated community and the elevated collective group is all about upliftment and coming into innovative solutions to problems that we're all facing. So that's those two parts of Aquarius are profound, yeah. And I think a lot of groups tend to go down the shadow loop, yeah. And in fact, a lot of people that I know, I because I work with so many, hundreds of people, and I'm so sorry for that. And I can see, that people are really trying to make a break from their addiction to being concerned about what other people think about them, toward the liberation that comes when you are your own reference point, and when your higher self is your own reference point, when your mind, your clear higher mind is your own reference point, versus the group think or the tribe or the family or whatever. This is the place where humanity is, like, this is where we're teetering. Yeah, we're making this big bridge. We're bridging the lower self and the higher self, and we're coming into a state of individuated grace. And those of us who can make the leap are going even further, and we're going into a spiritualized state, right? But I think that there are just a lot of people just waking up, and who are in between, and who are learning how to kind of dislocate from the collective body, from the human mind field, and come into their own soul alignment. So that is like what this new moon really speaks to me about, on a collective level. It really speaks to me now especially because of what we've just come through, like the slog of the last few months leading up to this Capricorn, Saturn, and Pluto alignment. The unbelievable amount of work we have all been doing to break the bonds of the conditioned self, and to break the bonds of the conditioned social structures that we've been locked into for millennia, right? The last time Pluto and Saturn came together in Capricorn was the 1500s. We've been working on a lot. We've been taking apart a lot of structure. Anyway, we're all kind of in the wake of that, like we're on the denouement of that, and this whole year will still be about the integration of the work that we were faced with in this last 6 months. But now, on the precipice of the month of Aquarius, we stand. I think we stand much more empowered and much more clear about who we are, and what our alignment is, and what our goals are, and what matters to us, and what's important, and what we want to build from, and what we want to go toward, and who we want to be. All of this stuff is present for us. And so this month there's like an opportunity for us to plant seeds around who we are as individuals, and how we want to connect and link in to other people at similar vibrations, so that we can feel like we belong. Like it's like a tribal, but not tribe in the dark way. It's more like connecting into the community of humanity, the collective of humanity, and figuring out where our place is in that. So what do we have to offer it, right? What is our unique vision or our unique dream, and how can we put that into the collective fabric so that we can all weave something good together? And I think that that's definitely a theme of this new moon, is if that prompts you in any way toward an inspired vision or a goal or a seed to plant, I would incorporate that into my ceremony if I were you. Next, I want to go into what Aquarius is like as a healing archetype, and how we can work with it on our interiority in order to come into more harmony and balance within our psyches. So as above, so below, as out, so within, blah, 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 whatever. Aquarius as an archetype on the outside is all about, bringing the collective into this cohesive pattern, so that we can all work together to go forward and move together, to move forward. And so that we can, all of these individuals creating like this cohesive pattern that is operable, and that is functional, and that is positive. Yeah. So, and the same thing happens on the inside of us. Okay. So on the inside of us, we have a community in there as well. We have a community of many different people living inside each one of us. And all of these little tiny people are basically bits and pieces of our psyche and our self, which have been split off in time and space, and kind of segmented or forgotten or lost. I love Aquarius as an archetype because it really reminds me of the whole premise of soul retrieval, the shamanic practice of soul retrieval, which is something that I do constantly with myself. I am constantly working on my psyche in this way, going in and searching and journeying into the segments and the pieces and the disparate bits and the fractal fragments, right, that are lost in time. And like these bits and pieces are being pulled through from lifetimes, not just from this lifetime, although it's the easiest place to start is on your own trauma from this lifetime. But when you get really, really subtle into the subtle awareness of the multidimensional self, you can realize that you're carrying timelines, you're carrying wounding, you're carrying archetypes and subpersonalities through from other lifetimes. And that's how I like to read the chart. Is I like to analyze and look at what we carry through and where our evolutionary potential is in this lifetime, so that we can facilitate our own healing and our own journey, our own destiny. So the way that an Aquarian would work with the inner psyche is they would be the shepherd. They would be the shepherd. So I would like to explain this. Like when you do your inner work as an Aquarian, or in this quality or in this time, if you ride this archetype, the invitation is to notice the fractalized pieces of self that are inside and that are like almost like sheep that are kind of wandering, the ones that are like out at the edges, or the ones that, that you don't necessarily have contact with. The way I access this in my own body is the places that are numb, the places that don't feel. So when you go into the form, when you go into the body, you can almost like, you should feel your whole form. You should feel your whole embodiment. You should be in your body. Your whole soul should be there. So not many of us are really fully soul embodied. So the place to start would be, how far in can I go? And when I fall into a layer that feels blocked, or that feels frozen, or that feels numb, why? And what does that mean? And to settle down upon it, and to look at it, and to hold it, and to caress it, and to dialogue with it. I find the dialogue that's created inside of an Aquarian paradigm for healing is literally verbal. It's like to have a conversation with, right? To cohese around it as like a mental structure, and then to converse with it. Like, so, the inner child, for instance, to go in and have a conversation or a dialogue with the part of you that is lost from the part of you that felt left out, or the part of you that was suffering, or the part of you that was ignored or didn't have its need met, and whatever age that might be, and to actually speak to it, and to connect with it, and to ask it to become part of you again, like to welcome it back into the fold, like you would welcome in a lost lamb that's wandered out into the forest and is separated from the flock. And so this is how Aquarius will work with the external world and with their internal world as well. And this is the process that we're invited into in this month, is to pull in the disparate pieces of the psyche and cohese them into a centralized sense of self, which is Leo, the opposite of Aquarius, so that we can be our individuated selves within the collective. So we're doing the work outside. We're kind of like reaching out. We're thinking about, what do I have to offer? Who am I? What's my special gift? Who are the people I want to link in with? Who are at my vibration? Who I can connect with? And also on the inside, you're saying, like, what are the pieces of me that are broken away, that are lost, that I can really do some good healing work on this year or this month, and that I can pull back in, that I can create a home for inside my heart, right? And I also wanted to mention the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is one of the most amazing archetypes, the planetary archetypes. It rules the higher self, the higher mind, like the Uranian intuition. It's like the drop-in that happens like lightning fast when you understand the quality of a form rather than the form. Like, so the analytical mind will piece out and analyze and understand the literal form, what it is, the meaning of it, which is Gemini. And then the higher mind will understand the meaning of it, or will just have an impression, right? And it's able to connect with energy and with meaning and with the big, like, sort of the constellation of like the mental mind field that goes way beyond the logical brain. Like it doesn't involve humanity at all. Like, this is like a transpersonal archetype. So it's almost like you're a bit of an alien. Like this is where telepathy lives, being able to read someone else's thoughts, or that feeling where you think of someone and then they text you or call you, and there's like that, you're connected in that way. This is also where soul memory lives. So where we pull things through. In evolutionary astrology, they look to the Uranus position in the chart as being where you have brought through trauma from past lives. Like, so where there's a memory or an imprint of a traumatic archetype that you're here to kind of break through and liberate, Aquarius, into your higher self, where you're really ready, your soul is ready to kind of finish this karma, like finish this wound and heal this trauma. So there's a lot of like woo-woo stuff that happens with Aquarius, and it's really out there. It's like super, super paranormal, and it's super avant-garde, and it's really in the front edges. It's like really on the front edge of the wave. It's not, it's quirky, it's eccentric, it's weird, and I love the term, let your freak flag fly. This is the season where that is totally acceptable. So it's a great month to kind of invoke those parts of you that go beyond what you're used to, that go beyond social convention, and to really connect to our higher self, to our Uranian self, right? Our Uranian brilliance, which is our intuition, our unique line of self, connecting higher, middle, and lower, right? That is what we are. That and then to pour that out of your heart, which is the Leo archetype, like the individual self in its fullness, that contributes to the collective good. So that's the ray that we're on this month. So I just want to leave you with that, and hope that this was useful to you. And I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that's it. All right, you guys take care, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, perhaps. Much love to all of you. Mwah.